final moments of the late Cretaceous, some 66 million years ago, the Earth was ruled by a dynasty of giants.
But one name, more than any other, has echoed through the chasm of time. A name that means
Tyrannosaurus rex. This was not merely a large animal. It was the product of millions of years of predatory evolution.
To understand this creature, we must first deconstruct the machine itself.
The story begins with the skull. It is an icon of prehistoric power.
X-ray reveals the intricate network of sutures within the Tyrannosaurus skull, glowing with a soft, pulsing light that highlights their complexity.
Measuring over 1.5 meters, the skull of an adult T-Rex was a masterpiece of engineering. This structure wasn't a weakness, it was a shock absorber.
When the animal delivered its cataclysmic bite, these mobile joints helped to dissipate the immense stresses,
Protecting the skull from its own incredible power. Its teeth were not blades, but thick, serrated railroad spikes, capable of punching through the thickest hide and shattering solid bone.
With a force estimated to be over 12,800 pounds per square inch,
It had the strongest bite force of any terrestrial animal that has ever lived, capable of turning the armor of a Triceratops into shrapnel.
As the muscle fades, we see the true extent of its
Force
sensory
was only half of
a hidden intelligence glowing beneath the surface.
The true genius of the T-Rex lay in its exquisitely advanced sensory array. The fossil evidence, however, tells a profoundly different story. By analyzing the orientation of its eye sockets, we see that its eyes were pointed forward, not to the sides.
This granted it superb binocular vision, allowing for exceptional depth perception, a critical advantage for a predator judging the distance.
This stunning visualization,
The size of the
reveals
optical
intense
lobes in its
activity
brain
within the
case
optical
suggests
lobes as
that
the
its
brain
visual
processes
acuity was
incoming
astonishing.
It saw its world in three-dimensional detail and, likely, in color.
Its sense of smell was even more formidable. CT scans of T-Rex skulls have revealed massively enlarged olfactory bulbs, the region of the brain dedicated to processing scent.
This indicates a sense of smell that was almost supernatural.
It could likely detect prey or a distant carcass from miles away, reading the Cretaceous winds like a map.
The world for a Tyrannosaurus was a rich tapestry of scents, each one telling a story of potential food, rivals, or mates.
Add to this a sophisticated sense of hearing. The structure of its inner ear suggests it was particularly attuned to low-frequency sounds.
It could feel the deep, infrasonic footfalls of a herd of hadrosaurs long before they were visible. A predator that heard the vibrations of its world.
This was an animal that perceived its environment with a clarity and depth that we are only now beginning to appreciate.
It was not a clumsy monster. It was a calculating, hyper-aware hunter, a perfect synthesis of power and perception.
To truly understand the Tyrannosaurus rex, we must leave the sterile environment of the laboratory and journey back to its world, the Hell Creek Formation of North America. It was a humid, subtropical coastal plain, crisscrossed by rivers and swamps. This was the arena, and for the T-Rex, it was a kingdom ripe for conquest.
A world that would come to dominate not just through size, but through the masterful application of its sensory arsenal. Imagine a mature adult, a 40-foot-long, 9-ton behemoth, moving through the dappled light of a sequoia grove.
A scent, carried on the breeze from over a mile away, registers in its vast olfactory passages.
It is the unmistakable smell of a herd of Edmontosaurus, the great duck-billed dinosaurs that were a staple of its diet. For the Tyrannosaurus, this is more than just a signal. It is a stream of data.
It can likely discern the size of the herd, their direction of travel,
And perhaps even the scent of an individual that is old, sick, or injured. The path of least resistance.
is energy efficiency on a grand scale, a predator that selects its battles before they even begin.
As it closes the distance, its other senses take precedence.
Its feet, large and padded, are sensitive to ground vibrations, but it is its ears that are truly remarkable.
The world of Hell Creek is filled with the low-frequency rumbles of its megafauna. Using stands of giant ferns for cover. Every snapped twig, every guttural call from the herd paints a clearer picture in its mind. Peering through the foliage, its forward-facing eyes lock onto the herd. The depth perception is immediate and flawless. It is not seeing a flat collection of targets, but a dynamic, three-dimensional space. It can judge the distance to a juvenile straying from its mother with pinpoint accuracy. It can see the subtle limp in an old bull's gait. This is the moment of calculation.
The popular image of a T-Rex relentlessly chasing down anything that moves is a fiction. An injury from the thrashing tail of an Ankylosaurus or the horn of a Triceratops could be a death sentence.
Its sharp vision allows it to select the most viable target, maximizing its chances of success while minimizing its own risk. The attack, when it comes, is an explosion of calculated violence.
A short, terrifying burst of speed,
closing the final distance in seconds.
The hunt is a sensory symphony, beginning with a faint scent, refined by sound, and culminating in a visually guided strike of unimaginable force.
But the senses of the Tyrannosaurus were not solely for the hunt. They governed every aspect of its life.
That powerful sense of smell was equally adept at detecting the scent of a rival T-Rex encroaching on its territory, or finding a potential mate during the breeding season. Fossil skulls bearing healed bite marks from other tyrannosaurs. We can even speculate on the role these senses played in parenting.
A mother T-Rex, guarding her nest, would use her hearing to detect the approach of small, egg-stealing predators, and her sense of smell to track her own wandering offspring.
This was a creature that lived a complex life, navigating a world of constant threats and opportunities.
It was the undisputed apex predator of its time, not simply because it was big and strong,
but because it perceived its world with a sophistication that no other creature in its ecosystem could match.
Every animal in Hell Creek lives in the shadow of a tyrant. The image of the Tyrannosaurus Rex as a hyper-aware super predator is not a product of speculation or cinematic fantasy.
it is a story told by the fossils themselves, a narrative painstakingly pieced together over more than a century of discovery.
When the first significant skeletons were unearthed in the early 20th century,
By legendary fossil hunter Barnum Brown, the world was introduced to an animal of unprecedented size and apparent ferocity. But the bones held deeper secrets, secrets that could only be unlocked by the tools of the modern age.
Collect them all! The greatest adventure ever told!
But the fossil record, when examined with 21st century technology, tells a different story.
the breakthrough came when paleontologists began using medical CT scanners
to peer inside the fossilized skulls without causing any damage.
These scans allowed them to create detailed, three-dimensional digital models of the brain case, or endocasts.
This is where the myth of poor vision crumbled.
The part of the brain that processes visual information, completely contrary to the idea of a creatures that can only see movement.
This technological leap also reignited the long-standing debate.
Was T-Rex a hunter or a scavenger?
Its colossal olfactory bulbs certainly meant it would have been an expert at finding carcasses. The
Analyzing the
velociraptor was a
skeletal
formidable
structure reveals
predator.
a predator optimized
Note the
for the
powerful
kill.
jaws
From
and
the
the
crushing
iconic
bite of
sickle
the skull,
claw.
There is a cultural icon, a monster in our imagination.
And its bone-shattering bite are all extreme adaptations for tackling live, often dangerous, prey. The most compelling evidence, however, comes not from the tyrant, but from its intended victims.
Paleontologists have discovered fossils of animals like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, with healed bite marks that perfectly match the teeth of a T-Rex. These are the ancient scars of survivors.
Irrefutably proof of failed predation attempts, and a testament to a world where Tyrannosaurus was actively hunting.
It was likely an opportunist, never turning down a free meal. There is the cultural icon, the monster of our imaginations.
And then there is the animal revealed by science. A complex, dynamic creature.
Each fossil we uncover, from a single serrated tooth to a near-complete skeleton, is a message from a lost world.
Confirming that the tyrant lizard was, in every sense of the word,
prehistoric
a king.
The T-Rex reigns supreme. The tyrant lizard king was more than a monster of muscle and teeth.
It's a sensory masterpiece, a creature that perceives its world with a sensitivity we're only beginning to understand. Okay.
A true and eternal king of the prehistoric world that rightfully continues to command our awe and respect.